Hi, everyone. It's Betty Ray again with Raphael. And today he wanted me to talk about the Archangels. And so I brought out my book, Raphael's book, called Life in Three Dimensions. It's available on my webpage, which is Angel Betty Ray, ANDRAPHAEL.com. And this was channeled, it's the first channeling that I did back in quite a while ago. And in it, Raphael talks about the archangels. And there's an archangel assigned to each soul energy. We come in on a ray of energy, and that determines our soul color, if you will, because energy is color and sound and vibration. Everything is vibration and sound and color. And each one of you are a universe unto yourselves. You are a vibrating universe. And the other thing, I was walking the labyrinth today, and the other thing that I got from God through the archangels is that about the idea of love. What is true love? And why do we say that narcissism is not good? When I meditated on that as I walked the labyrinth, I laughed because Raphael said God was the first narcissist. Why? Because he's created all of us in his image and likeness. And so the idea was that this young man had never seen himself in a mirror. And he was at a lake and he looked into this calm lake and he saw a picture of himself and he fell in love with himself. He thought he was beautiful, but he didn't know how to find that image in the lake. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are trying to find ourselves in the image of others. We are trying to figure out who we are every day of our lives. And it's an adventure because we are constantly changing. But yet we are made in God's image and likeness. Everybody says that. And so who is the first narcissist? God. And it made me laugh when Raphael said that. And so then I went to this book that Raphael channeled this long time ago, and he talked about the archangels. And in his book, Landy Millis, who was a friend of mine, started me with the channeling. She asked God about the archangels of the seven rays that he spoke of. And so the first red ray, and I'm wearing red today, which I think is what inspired this whole thing in the first place, is that the first red ray is guarded by, inspired by the archangel Michael. I think all of you know that. You're familiar with Michael. You often see pictures of him with a sword in his hand, ready to do battle. And that's the way a lot of red souls are. They're ready to do battle. Their anger can sometimes lead them into hell and back. I don't mean that literally. But so the Archangel Michael is in charge of red souls, and their purpose is to learn and study bravery and leadership. And so if you are being led, if you're a red soul and you are being led by your emotions, which is mostly shown by anger and frustration and the need to be honored and loved and respected, and if you aren't, then you're off with your head, as it was of many of the leaders of old. And so then the next one, the orange ray, which is really what Jesus Christ was. He was an orange ray soul. And that means that his leadership had to do with the spiritual world. And so orange ray souls are more interested in spiritual and non-physical energy. And so they are led by the Archangel Ameliel. Ameliel is what Raphael says. And so their purpose in life is to study the other worlds. If it be the universe, the stars, if it be spirituality, the afterlife, that's what they're going to be interested in. Now, the yellow ray soul is interested in the intellect and study and wanting to know how the universe works. And the Archangel Uriel is in charge of the yellow soul ray. And so all of the yellow souls are inspired by that particular guardian angel. And the green soul ray is into healing and service. And of course, that's Raphael. Raphael is in charge of healing. And that's why he has come through me and has tried to help us to heal this planet, to inspire people and what to do to help our planet heal itself, and what to do to heal one another, and how to take care of ourselves during this pandemic. And so the green healing ray is Raphael. And the next one is the blue ray, and it is it's called the communicator, and it comes forth to bring new ideas into a person, through a person, into the world. And sometimes I call them the clowns of the universe, because their motto is, if it isn't fun, I don't want to do it. And sometimes I identify, excuse me, with that blue ray soul, because I've always been that way, even as a teacher of 30 years. If it wasn't fun, I didn't want to do it. And so I made up games. And I've spoken of this before, but one of the most successful games that we created, and I say we because it's always God and the archangels and angels that are doing the creating through us. And so this was called the Job Search Game. And it was so successful that it was published. And so the blue ray soul is the one that communicates abstract ideas and brings them into a physical reality. So when you need an idea to solve a problem, you call upon Gabriel. All right. And so the indigo soul is Archangel Sapphiriel. Archangel Sapphiriel. And he's often portrayed, he, she, it, they're not male or female, is often portrayed in dark blue robes, holding a lyra representing the arts. Okay, now the violet soul ray is the Archangel Emmanuel, and it's a larger soul who expresses concepts of God. It leads others to think of spirituality rather than physicality. It is often shown in purple robes with a religious symbol in hand. So those are the 7 major ones, but you have to remember, Raphael says, that there are many more that are out there that have been created and designed by God to be leaders and to be helpers for the humans that come to live on planet Earth. And so you have not only a guardian angel, everybody is assigned one the moment your soul is born. You have a guardian angel. And on my radio show, people are always asking, well, how do you contact your angels? How is it you can talk to them? Well, it takes a lot of meditation, and a lot of people don't even know how to meditate. And this whole idea of me channeling an archangel is really beyond the comprehension for a lot of people. And frankly, it was for me, it was kind of scary. But once I understood that I am just a vessel, and that vessel has a spirit body, and that when my spirit body leaves my body at night, as excuse me, as everybody does, when you sleep at night, your spirit duplicate of your physical body looks exactly like you. It looks like your ghost. It rises out of your body, and it goes and it goes around, and it just can visit people. It can, but it brings back ideas. And it always comes back. It's like a yo-yo. Its string is attached to you, and when it's time to wake up, it'll snap right back into your body. You don't have to worry about drifting away and not coming back. So they call it out-of-body travel, a lot of people. So you have a spirit that leaves your body, okay? Well, your guardian angel is always with you. So when you leave your body at night and go wandering around, your guardian angel is always with you. Now, it's not an archangel. You have a specific guardian angel who is yours alone. And so again, people ask, how do you communicate with them? Well, you have to do it through meditation. And this was not what we wanted to talk about today, but we will have a whole session on meditation, and we'll do a guided meditation, because my guided meditations are called open eye meditations. They help you to be able to get information from your angels even when you are awake. And that's why we teach you to keep your eyes open, to turn off all background music so nothing is distracting you, and that you learn to use the communication available to you to speak to your own guardian angels, or at least to hear them. And so we'll save that for another time. But let's go back to the beginning. What is true love? That's what it is. And when we talked about narcissism, we think of it as a negative thing, that it is meaning that you're only looking out for your own welfare and your own well being. And yet, when Raphael said God was the first narcissist, I mean, I blinked and said, what? And he pointed out that all of us are like images of God because they're all created in, we say, in God's image. Now, we changed that around and we made God in our image and likeness by making God a man, masculine, and by making God a leader on a throne who will judge us at the end of our lives and say, you can go to heaven and you can go, you know where. And so that's not God. God has created each of us as a narcissistic lover. That person loves themselves so much they create themselves. And so each of us are a fragment of God expressing ourselves in the world. And that's pure love. So we can't knock the word narcissism unless we look at it from the point of view that it is not a love that extends to all peoples, that it is a love that is limited, that it is a love that only reflects ourselves in the eyes of others. And if we don't like what others are saying, then we get them out of the picture in one way or another. And that's what, unfortunately, the negative connotation of narcissism is. It is not really the truth because we have to have self-love. We have to love this body that God has created. And I have to qualify that because we created every day with every bit of food we put in our mouths and with every thought we put in our minds. We are recreating ourselves every day. And, you know, I tell people I'm 85 years old, and yet I don't look it, I don't act it, I don't feel it because I have such an abundance of love within me for humanity that I am willing to put myself out there to say things that perhaps are not complete truth because who has the complete truth? I don't claim to have it. When Raphael speaks, sometimes he can be misinterpreted, but he speaks as an archangel who is filled with love and compassion and caring for humanity on planet Earth. But Raphael also cares for planet Earth. And this archangel, even though we call him a he is neither a he nor a she. He is pure spirit. And as all angels are, they do not have male or female forms. They will take on any form that you need to help you to understand that they are there with you. And so if you want to see them with wings, they'll wear wings. They're not part bird and part human. They are pure spirit. And so just to clarify that, angels don't wear wings and devils don't wear bat wings. That came about a long time ago when an author wrote a story about that kind of thing. And from then on, the artists of the world just loved that picture. And so from then on, there's all kinds of pictures of what evil looks like with these bat wings, and they're battling on the earth between good and evil. And yet, that is the power of energy. And while you're in this planet, there is a battle between good and evil. There is a planet between light and darkness, however you want to state it. And right now, this virus is like the very devil itself. I'm not saying this literally, but it's how you compare. We all have to use comparison and words to describe what we think and feel. And last time we were on, we tried to, on the radio show this yesterday, we tried to explain the difference between fact and opinion. And we had quite a battle to try and help people understand that opinion is made up of your emotional response to the world. Facts are made up of the research that is done on that opinion to prove or disprove it as a fact. And so this is where you have research in chemistry and in science. You cannot create something and say, this is what it is, until other sciences have duplicated your scientific research and proven to themselves that every time you do that research, it comes out the same. Now, my son happens to be a molecular genetic scientist, And for a long time, I couldn't even pronounce it. But he does research, and I don't want to identify him. I don't want to embarrass him, but he became a top scientist in a very famous company. And he created some formulas that have been patented, and he is responsible for some of them. But he didn't make any money on it. The company he worked for made all the money on it, and are still making the money on it. So now he's working for himself, and he's creating his own company, but he's still working. So there are scientists in the world, and those are mostly yellow souls. They are into the intellect, and oftentimes they don't have the heart that other people think they need, the compassion. They're too busy in their heads to have the heart that other people would like to see in them. And so they may seem distracted, and they may seem to forget who you are, and they may seem to be a little out of it, but they are the yellow souls. And here again, Uriel is in charge of that particular ray and is inspiring people even now to work on an antibody for this virus. And so they are all doing the research. But like anything else, you cannot claim your emotion as a fact because there's no research done on it. And I used the example on the radio show yesterday of a little boy in my 8th grade classroom. I taught language arts. And he said, we were trying to teach him fact and opinion. And he said, well, I hate school, and that's a fact. And the people on the radio argued with me. For him, that was a fact. But they didn't understand, and I had trouble explaining that to be a fact, it has to have research done to prove it as a fact. And so even the emotions that you have, if you had a psychiatrist that sat that boy down and he talked about his life and he talked about school, and the psychologist looked at his record and how he could explain how in one time he was totally embarrassed in front of the class because the teacher said he was stupid. And again, the facts begin to pile up so that what he is saying, why he would have the emotional response of hating school, now becomes a fact. But only until the research is done, only until the background check has been proven that this is indeed a fact. So it's the research that we talk about that has to be it. You can't just have an emotion and say that's a fact, because we're all emotional beings more than we are rational mental beings. We're more emotional beings. And that brings us back to love. Love is an emotion. And at the same time, Raphael says, love is a state of being. Think about that. Love is a state of being. When we are in love, we're not in the romantic love. We are in a state of being and where we see all things created as God, where we adore and honor and respect all things created by God. And that means one another. We respect one another. We realize that everyone has a right to speak their truth. And we talked about freedom and how we have freedom of speech in this country. But that brings about a lot of debates because people are often thinking truth is what they believe, like the little boy who hated school. Anytime you use an emotion to speak as a fact, you've got to back it up with more facts to prove your point of view. And so love is an emotion. It's not a fact, it's an emotion. And describe it in a multitude of ways, as many, many poets have done and songwriters have done. And so that's human love. God love has no conditions. It has no coulds, shoulds, or oughts. And when we hold that kind of love for one another, we have what's called compassion. We can accept others in all their imperfections as perfect in God's eyes. And in so doing, we try not to judge. But here's where we have to say, this is not my truth. I do not honor this person's truth because it is not mine. And so we say to you, anybody who works out of the emotion of anger and fear and anxiety doesn't have the truth. because they are seeing the dark side of the planet. They are seeing the dark side of their personality. And if they have fear that they will not be respected by others, and if they demand respect from others, they're not going to get it. They're going to get disdain. And instead, they're going to get false information. And so, narcissism, again, is love of self. And that means that you can't put yourself down, but you can honor that you make mistakes. You can honor the fact that you don't always have the right answer, that you try your best to listen to the divine inspiration within you, but you don't always get it right. I've been so fortunate not only to have the Archangel Gabriel and the Archangel Raphael working with you. Gabriel works with me in all my creative artwork, and it's been an amazing experience to be an artist. And I'm a musician as well. I've written songs, and they've been published, and there's many things, books that have come through my hands and through my mind. This is part of Gabriel's. He, I call her a she, is in charge of communication. And so this has been something that has been what I've done all my life. It seems like since I was a teacher in my 20s. And so all the archangels are working with you. Raphael is the healer and is trying to bring healing messages to all of you. Look at the archangels and call upon them. They will come to you, but you have to ask your angels or your archangels for help. They have a law. They cannot interfere in a human story on planet Earth unless they are asked. So we say to you this day, call upon the archangels. Get all of them to group around you to be your shield against the darkness that is trying so hard to overcome all of us in this pandemic, in the fear and the anxiety and the anger of what this pandemic has imposed upon our freedom. And freedom has been restricted if we honor the fact that this invisible enemy, this invisible darkness, can hit anyone of any age. I talked to my son yesterday, and he said, "Well, it's the older people that have to worry about it." He said, and people that have, some kind of disease or some kind of vulnerability physically. And no, recently they have shown that there are children that are reacting to a positive virus that is causing a rash and is causing them breathing problems. So don't underestimate the power of this silent enemy. It is there, and it will be there, Raphael says, because people are not honoring the fact that that virus is not dead. There is no cure for it right now. And so the only way you could protect yourself and others, you may be carrying the virus. I feel perfectly healthy, and I have been blessed with great health. And so when I go out, I still wear a mask because people can carry the virus and still remain healthy, but they're spreading it to other people. So don't think because you're healthy and you don't have the virus as you think that it isn't inside your body waiting to share it with others. Honor the social distancing and please wear a mask. And that's a roundabout way to say God is the first narcissist because all of us were made in his image and likeness. And again, I like to call God it rather than him or her or she or he. And so today, make this a new resolution. Today, you will honor your body and your spirit as the image of God in this world. You will honor one another in that you will not disparage, or you will not criticize, or you will not negate the value of any other fellow human. Now, you might see that their anger is spewing out at you because you have a particular belief system. Do not make that to stop you from loving them unconditionally. For again, they are made in God's image. The true narcissist is God. And with that, dear ones, come back again. Do subscribe to my channel. Do give me some feedback. We'll talk about it. And if you want a message from the Archangel, please don't hesitate to send me an email at angelbettyrae@gmail.com. ANGELBETTYRAE@gmail.com. And we will give you a message from the Archangel and answer your questions. Raphael is always there with pure unconditional love for you. And that is true love. When you can love without any kind of conditions, without any kind of judgment, and discernment is the word instead. Raphael will help you to understand where you might be off track, and that the discernment of understanding this is not a judgment, rather, it is divine guidance and how to get back on track to find that true happiness that you are really seeking. And so for today, God bless all of you. Stay safe. We love you.